Welcome to Second Take, the show that focuses on the issues behind the news. Sasol is still mulling over whether or not to proceed with the rights issue to help it deal with its debt burden. Terence Creamer joins me to discuss this and the Sasol 2.0 transformation program. Welcome, Terence.
Hi, Sashni.
Now, what is the latest on the Sasol rights issue?
Well, this week Sasol gave an update to the market, mostly to expose us to the Sasol 2.0 transformation program. But obviously top of mind of all investors is the rights issue, which is an overhang on its share price at the moment. Sasol, earlier in the year when COVID hit and given its debt crisis, it's got $10 billion worth of debt arising mostly from the Lake Charles chemical complex project in Louisiana of the US. It said that it needed to find a way to deleverage its balance sheet massively by about $6 billion. And one of the options was a rights issue capped at $2 billion. The others were savings of around $2 billion as well, and then disposals of more than $2 billion. And what shareholders were very interested to see is because they've done quite well on their savings, they banked $1 billion worth of savings last year, and during the current financial year, there's a view that they should bank the other $1 billion. They've done well in terms of the asset disposal program, where they've banked $3 billion and are looking to get at least $3.5 billion in disposals, whether the rights issue is still necessary. And the message from Sasol was they're keeping their powder dry. They're going to, because of the volatile market conditions, they want to make sure that they have the headroom they need to meet their debt covenants, and that we will get an update on the rights issue and what it means for shareholders, whether it goes ahead, its ticket size, when it releases the interim financial results in February.
And besides dealing with a weak balance sheet, Sasol is moving ahead with a transformation initiative.
Yes, the Sasol 2.0 transformation program is now in full swing. This is to sort of create the basis for a more sustainable financially organization, because it's obviously ran into massive problems after Lake Charles, but also to start the process of becoming a more environmentally sustainable organization too. The first priority obviously is creating the financial platform for that, and we see what's happening on the deleveraging side of the balance sheet, the asset disposals, but also to reform the business around really specialty chemicals, which will be a major leg of the business, not these big base chemicals, but specialized chemicals. And then on the energy side, very much focused in Southern Africa to become a less carbon intensive business. Now this carbon deleveraging is some way off, but even in this transformation program you can see that there's an element there, but really it's about pulling in the horns in terms of growth projects, so no more growth capex, just sustaining capex, getting the businesses to be more customer focused, and getting the leaders of those units to have more autonomy, more authority, so a sort of a thinner layer of management. So those are the sort of elements that were unveiled, and then obviously to have a much more competitive platform in a low oil price environment. So this is about remaining profitable at an oil price of around $45 a barrel.
And big changes are coming in the energy side of the business.
Yeah, as I said, this is really a Southern African story. We know that in South Africa, Sasol has been built really to produce fuels and then chemicals from coal during a sanctions era in South Africa, but have created a technology advantage that not many companies or countries have. So it's now, the problem with that is that it's highly carbon intensive. The process involves gasifying coal to create hydrogen. This makes Secunda one of the most carbon intensive single sites in the world, if not the most. So therefore, in a low carbon, or this transition to a low carbon world, that's unacceptable. So big changes have to be made at Sasol and its Southern African business. So the one focus area is to get more gas, We know they already use a lot of gas in the process from Mozambique that they use mostly in Sasolburg but also in Secunda to produce chemicals, electricity and fuels. They're going to look at ways to get more gas into their system, which is less carbon intensive than coal. There we know that they've got depleting resources in Mozambique, so they have to find a way to get more out of those existing assets. But that probably isn't going to be enough, so they're looking at then gas imports, LNG imports through Matola terminal. There's a company, not Sasol, but there's a company looking at a large LNG terminal in Matola. And then obviously there's the Rovuma gas, so they're looking at possible partnerships there, but that's very far away. And putting in a pipeline creates a potential, a very long-term asset that could potentially, in that long-term and in a decarbonising world, become a stranded asset. So that's a high-risk one, and something that I think shareholders will be watching very closely whether Sasol would pursue. And then in South Africa, obviously leveraging our massive and our potent wind and solar resources to start piloting green hydrogen. So instead of having hydrogen from coal, which is the dirtiest form of hydrogen, getting hydrogen from water through electrolyzers, using electricity produced by solar and wind. And I think we will start seeing those sort of projects emerging. And then also on other emissions that Sasol produces, to get more of their electricity from renewable energy. And there's immediate plans, and even in their very much downscaled capital budgets of around 20 to 25 billion rand a year, which for Sasol is very, very pared back. They used to have far larger capital budget. There is an element catering at least for that renewables leg. I think only after next year, when they release their decarbonisation plan to 2050, will we see other projects starting to emerge. As I mentioned, sort of definitely more gas. I think that will help decarbonise immediately. But the sort of more ambitious green hydrogen plans we might only see after they release that roadmap, and then we'll have to see how they allocate capital to that.
Thanks for speaking with us, Terence.
Pleasure.
That's it for today. Join us again next week for more news analysis. And don't forget to listen to the audio version of our Engineering News daily email newsletter.